Hello Guardians, it is Ebontis, and Destiny got a nice little update today, and one that especially for newer players, people who haven't just farmed everything, are actually really going to appreciate. Now there's some basic stuff like Heist Battlegrounds. There was like an issue that was causing some, people to actually crash. You can actually join in progress during boss encounters, maybe you get kicked and try and come back into your encounter. On Legend difficulty, it was actually showing the matchmaking is there. It's not. That's been updated. For strikes, the Devil's Lair strike was not counting as a fallen boss. Now it will, just for, certain objectives. Gambit, there was a rank booster modifier icon wasn't showing correctly, should be fixed. Crucible. So first thing, we're going to look at competitive. You've got an issue that caused promotion in a relegation series director dialogues to display at the wrong time. So you're actually seeing those when you shouldn't. Reduced round score limit for Showdown from 15 down to 10. And for Rift, it's 3 rounds to win, and Survival is also 3 rounds. Instead of, I think it was either 4 or 5, it's a shorter round because it doesn't have to be that crazy. Quick play, they also adjusted the quarter penalty to be more lenient before triggering the penalty warning and the suspension timer, so they should give you a nicer, things happen in life. It shouldn't be quite as dramatic at this point. Also, game history for Iron Banner and competitive should be showing up in the API. As for Spire the Watcher, they said there was an issue that allowed Warlock Stasis Super to activate all the Arc Node Circus without line of sight. So basically, in the boss room, I think is mostly where it's at. But the range on the Stasis Super for Warlocks is so big, you could activate all of the nodes at the same time and basically would just trigger everything. And you could kind of skip the whole mechanics of the dungeon, so that's been fixed. You would actually have to be line of sight for that. If you were in a group and somebody in your super, like with the Stasis Super, was just like nuking this stuff, that would probably actually be really simple, but kind of cheesy, so that's been fixed. A couple other changes. The actual hand cannon unstoppable perk mod has been fixed. Normally everybody had been doing a fair amount of grenade launchers because you'd switch, you'd have 3 seconds, and it would probably work out. But now the hand cannon is back to the way it was supposed to be, where if you go aim down sights, 1 second later, unstoppable's up. That's much more reasonable. It used to be like 1, 2, 3, and then it would proc. For whatever reason, it was kind of bugged. So that's been fixed. If you're going to the artifact, the energy diffusion substrate now can stack up to 3 times. So if you have an artifice piece of armor with that extra seasonal socket, you can do 2 in the middle and 1 on the right, so it would be 15% to all damage types. I still think focusing would probably be better because it's like 25% for each type that you focus into. But if you're looking to just like slap a couple of these on there and forget about them, they will stack as opposed to negate each other and kind of break the mod. So this has been fixed, which is good. Kill clip was actually kind of broken. Basically, like if you got a kill, reloaded, and then you got another kill and reloaded again, it wouldn't actually reset the timer. So there was a bit of an issue with that. That has actually been resolved. Cool guy made a video, I think, about it yesterday. So unfortunately, short life of some videos, but that has been fixed as of today, which is good. They stated Jade Issue's exotic perk was applying its damage buff to all outgoing damage. Probably made it a bit extra strong, so that has been brought back down to normal, which is probably a good thing, so this won't be running rampant when it shouldn't be. If Xur actually managed to sell any of the Ikelos weapons, they will be the new version, like the 1.0.3 version, as opposed to the old ones. So you can see stuff like Volt Shot, possibly, if Xur sells one of these things. I still would recommend crafting one of these because it's my god roll. I'm not going to put it down for a while. That being said, if Xur does sell one, at least it has a chance to be good in case you miss crafting it. They also state for a general thing that the UI loader has been optimized to improve snappiness when switching between multiple screens quickly, which I can kind of verify. That's not bad. Feels definitely a little snappier than it used to. Now, one of the biggest things, especially for newer players, is what unlocked today. And what that is every single combat mod is available to every single player. Now, if you go to your collections, you're not going to see them, because if you go to collections, combat style, none of these may show up. Whether you're a newer player, maybe you were missing some of these things for Charged with Light, Elemental Wells, Warmind Cells. All of these may not show in the collections, but if you go to your armor pieces, say it's a void piece of armor, yours should look exactly like mine with every one of these available. Now, it doesn't mean that they're going to give you all the artifact mods, and they're also not going to give you all of the raid mods. Raid mods you'll still have to earn by actually doing the raid and kind of getting those things to drop. But every single combat style mod, which includes Charge with Light, Elemental Well, and Warmind Cell, should be available to every single player no matter if you are on day 1 or day 7001. Doesn't matter. Now, just remember, some armor is going to have different mods on, you know, different energies. So like Arc, Solar Void, and Stasis, you're going to be seeing different mods in different places. But you should have access to the same mods that everybody else does, whether you Ada1 sold it or not. So no more going to check Ada1. She needs to find a new purpose, basically, because her selling mods now is very pointless. So they're finally able to give them to everybody, which I think is a good thing, because having them just wait for a couple months to see one be sold, finally being fixed. We talked about this on the podcast, like this is a pain point for new players. This is a huge, huge thing. So this should be available for everyone. Every piece of gear, just check the stats, whether it's a stat mod, whether it's a holster, or whether it's a ammo finder, or elemental well. All of these mods should be available. The only ones you won't see, again, anything that's going to have this color to it that comes from the actual artifact, or anything that would be for a raid piece of gear, like if I come here to my mark, these are King's Fall mods, you wouldn't see these. But everything else, you would. So those are combat style, class items, generals, all of those should be available to everybody. And then that is huge. Because for especially new players, that's just a massive pain point, and there's almost nothing you can do if Ada doesn't sell it for a while. So that's big. Now, the final thing, just real quick. Grandmasters, I know, are not everybody's thing, but this is a nice change. Recommended power for this season used to read as 1620. Or 1630, I'm sorry, used to read as 1630, and contest would make it minus 25, so you would have to be level 1605 just to enter, but then contest would also cap you at 1605, so anything above that wouldn't matter. Now, I know 10 levels doesn't sound like a lot, but it actually is a really good thing, because now, to be able to enter a Grandmaster, it's just going to be 1595, and then contest is still going to be effect, so anything above 1595 won't matter. But honestly, like, that's a good thing, because when it comes to Grandmasters, one of the biggest things, even for me at times, is just the time commitment to get yourself leveled up. So now, if you're doing things like a powerful drops, those will get you up to 1580. Pinnacles obviously will get your gear up to 1590, and you have about 6 weeks. Over the course of 6 weeks, even if you do like the basic Pinnacles, your Vanguard, your Nightfall, your Gambit, your Crucible matches, maybe you did some Iron Banner, you know, maybe you went through and even just did some of the stuff like Preservation or Vox Obscura, whatever it may be, those are pretty reasonable, but maybe you didn't like raid every time, so you weren't maxed out. That's okay, because honestly, if you combined, you know, say you get like plus 3 or 4 on your Pinnacles, so maybe you're like 1584, 1583, something like that, you're only going to need 11 or 12 on your artifact, and when it comes to getting 11 or 12 on your artifact, it is a big difference, because the power bonus on your artifact to get 12 is only 74. You need to be rank 74 to be able to get plus 12 on your artifact. Now, when you're getting up to plus 20 on your power bonus, that takes level 206. So it gets exponentially higher. That, like, the amount of experience required increases a ton. Once you get above 10, it really starts to grow by like almost 1 million every time, and it just gets to be longer. So to only get to like a plus 12 on your artifact, like 74 on the season pass, if you're trying to do Grandmasters, you're probably going to play a decent amount, play some every week, do the story, but you should at least be able to get to that level, because that's not even finishing the season pass. Doing a few Pinnacles every week, doing your power bonus, only get up to like 12 or maybe 13 and it's a little less Pinnacles, whatever it may be, it's a much more reasonable barrier of entry, because before it was just, you would have to be max Pinnacles and then plus 15 on the artifact, or mid Pinnacles and plus 16, 17, 18, 19 on the artifact just to be able to enter Grandmasters. Now, I know these aren't for everybody, but even if you're trying to get like help through a Grandmaster and you haven't put in as much time as those crazy players who, like, you know, are sitting at 16, whatever, that's okay now, because getting into a Grandmaster is going to be easier, and therefore I think more people are actually going to have a chance to try these, or get help with them, or at least just have your fire team that doesn't play quite as much have a chance to attempt these, maybe put together a run and get a couple of these finished. So this is just a really good change for everybody in general, because Grandmasters shouldn't be such a time commitment, because if you have the skill, contest negates anything related to time, and I'm glad to see this as a change. But that's mostly it. Honestly, just good quality of life changes. I mean, the Grandmaster entrance is nice, but the mods for everyone is huge. I saw that on Twitter yesterday, and this is just massive to know that these mods are available for everybody. So now if I say, hey, go pick a mod, I know everybody will have it, and that's no longer a requirement. Now, different artifacts, different seasons, that's going to be a change. But when it comes to the seasonal mods, that's one thing. But when it comes to the artifact combat mods, everyone's got them, and that's fantastic. If you enjoyed this video, drop a like below. Leave there's a comment if there's anything else on the patch notes that you think I should have shouted out, or anything that you're just really excited about. If you want to find me on Twitter or Twitch, it's Ebontis, but right here on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, hit the alert bell. We have a TWAB coming tomorrow, and these are the TWABs that are going to start leading up to Nightfall, so we're going to be getting some good news. So I hope to see you soon. Have a good one, and I'll see you in the podcast tomorrow if you're there.